and a very warm welcome to this Filbert Flies review of Aerosoft's Trondheim-Vaernes scenery add-on for Microsoft Flight Simulator. This scenery is created by Joe Erland, who also created Cologne Bonn, which I reviewed yesterday, so I have very high hopes. I'm starting with an approach here to runway 9, which should give you a look at the surrounding scenery, spectacular as you can see, and will also give you a chance to gauge the performance on my system. I'm running an i7-8700K processor with 32GB of RAM and a 1080 Ti graphics card. I'll complete the approach and landing, and I will speak to you again at a gate, where we will begin our tour of the scenery in different weather and lighting conditions, and I'll give you my thoughts on this product at the end. Speak to you shortly.
Hundred above, 300. Minimum, 200. Retard. 5.
Welcome to Trondheim. As you can see, we're parked up here at gate 32. The jetways in this scenery are not animated, and that I believe is because they are the same two-axis type that we saw at Gothenburg, and I don't think the SDK allows for these to be animated at the moment. I'm not certain, but I don't think it does. It certainly didn't when this scenery was published. However, very small thing for me, and the advantage, I think, of having static jetways is that they can be beautifully modelled inside, and they lead up to a fully modelled terminal interior, which, in a break from tradition, I'm going to show you first of all. Now, I know modelled terminal interiors aren't for everyone, but you can't fail to be impressed by the level of detail that's gone into this scenery. People sitting on the benches, advertising hoardings on the walls, fully modelled cafes and signage throughout, and a beautifully polished tiled floor which reflects this rather nice ceiling up here. It's really, really nice to look at. Moving on to the outside, there isn't a huge amount of texturing to look at because of the vast glass facade that we have out here. But that which we can see is pretty good. It's pretty crisp. There's a lot of clutter around the airport as well. Vehicles, air stairs, luggage dollies, that sort of thing. Ground power units. I'm just saying what I can see now. It's not very helpful to anyone. If we have a look at the roof, and the modelling of this building in general is very nicely done. Smooth, curved, even down to little details like this railing up here. And the landside part is very nicely done as well. We've got some slightly low resolution textures on the roadway out the front of the airport here, but we've got a nice level of detailing on the entrance. And they've even gone to the trouble of building this multi-storey car park and populating it with cars, which is nice for those of you who like to see a bit of modelling landside. In fact, the whole area surrounding this airport has been modelled to a greater or lesser extent. Very, very nice indeed. So the terminal at Trondheim is set out in a sort of horseshoe shape. We parked our aircraft over here, And on this side of things we've got stands 40 to 45, none of which have jetways. But once again we have some beautiful tinted reflected glass out the front of the terminal building, and another fully modelled interior, which is every bit as nice as the interior we first looked at. All of the glass is transparent from the inside with no tint, but that's what we've seen on every scenery to date, so I suspect it's an SDK limitation and there's nothing much the developers could have done about it. And on the opposite side we've got stands 22 to 29. Once again, no jetways. Once again, a beautifully modelled interior with reflective glass. Let's take a quick look. It's interesting how every part of this terminal has a very slightly different atmosphere, but they're all really nice looking, I must say. Again, the standard of the texturing and modelling on this side of things is very good. Their textures are nice and crisp. Perhaps a little bit of blurriness on the top if you get very, very close to these roofs, but certainly nothing to complain about. You'll notice a modelled Radisson Blue hotel, and in addition, in between that and the concourse we've just been looking at, we have a railway station. The attention to detail in this scenery is just incredible. And there are even animated trains. I've just seen one. I don't know how frequent they are, but I'm determined to show you one. Here's one now. Just look at that. There's no way in earlier sims you could have a train with that level of detail without it causing a massive performance hit. Just brilliant. To the north of the runway we have the military side of the airport, known as Værnes Air Station, and you'll see a lot of it is blocked off with this security fence, which again shows great attention to detail. And beyond the fence we have a few military structures modelled, from hangars to storage units to the barracks over here. So very nicely done once again. At the western end of the airport we have this roadway running underneath the main runway and the taxiway, and while the textures around it are perhaps a little bit blurry and a little bit ropey in general, it's nice to see that that level of terraforming has been possible. And the textures aren't bad enough, in my opinion, that you would remark upon them on arrival or departure. The ground textures at this airport are pretty good. They're not amazing. If you get low enough they do look a little bit blurry, but that said, we have nice changes between one texture and another. We've got bits of discoloration, we've got slightly faded taxi lines and other markings. All these things which generally come together to make an airport feel very lifelike, and they've achieved that very well. The runway textures are first class. We've got correctly used materials at either end. There are indeed these concrete panels, and then asphalt in the middle. And we have tyre marks all the way along the surface, which again is true to life, having compared it with the satellite imagery. Very nice job. And how's this for night lighting? Beautifully lit apron area from these downlighters, and a fully lit terminal as well. Now there is no obvious tint to the glass from the outside when the lights are on inside and it's dark outside, but that's something that we've seen with every scenery add-on, and it's a small price to pay for having a terminal that looks like that, in my opinion. As you'd expect, they haven't cut any corners with the two side concourses at this terminal. Both look equally good at night time. And you can see here the custom modelled signage, which is really the final cherry on the cake. The taxiways are very well lit with centerline lights and edge lights. We've even got some orange lights here. Now I've never seen those before, and I don't even know what they mean, but I like them. Again, it's attention to detail. They could have just left them green like all the others, but they didn't. The runway, as you'd expect, is also perfectly lit up. But the military apron doesn't look quite so good. You've got these pools of light, but they don't have a light source. So it looks a little bit odd if you get close. It's clear that most of the attention has gone on to the commercial side of things over here. And to be honest, I think that's fair enough. There aren't that many people who will be flying military aircraft in and around here after dark, I don't think. And here we have Trondheim in the rain. As we've come to expect, the ground looks absolutely fantastic with the water on top of it, reflecting everything above it. The clear windows on the terminal do stick out, they're not shrouded in poor visibility, and that's true with every add-on airport that exists to date as far as I'm aware. It's a sim limitation, there's nothing that can be done about it, but hopefully it's something that Asobo will improve in due course. Now you'll notice if you look along the line of the terminal that actually the glass windows do get shrouded a little bit towards the end. Not to the extent of the textured surfaces, but it is noticeably different to the jetways. And I have a theory about this. I don't know if there's any truth in it or not, but I suspect that the more tinted the glass is, the less it sticks out when visibility is poor. Just a thought. The implementation of snow is pretty good. I like the fact that there isn't a thick covering everywhere, but we have these little patches which are clearer than others. We do have the same issue we see with all sceneries, whereby certain textures cannot support a covering of snow. Again, not the developer's fault, that is a sim issue. But in general, they've done a very good job with the tools they have to work with. We do have sharp lines between snow-covered areas and those that aren't, which is very noticeable around this side of the terminal. But as I say, I don't think there's much they can do other than using one single texture, which of course would look awful compared with what we have when it isn't snow covered. The runway's clear of snow, which is nice to see. We don't have sort of tyre marks sticking out and the rest being a blanket of white. So in general, a pretty good job. So what do I think of this add-on? Well, I think it's absolutely superb. The quality of the modelling and texturing is first class, and the amount of work that has gone into the smallest details both inside the terminal and outside is really commendable. The night lighting is fantastic, and the implementation of snow is really good. I think they've done as much as they can within the confines of the simulator. The ground textures around the apron are not the crispest that I've seen, but that's a very minor point and really won't affect your enjoyment of the scenery at all, unless that is you intend to roam around in a drone less than 2 meters from the ground. This is a great airport in a spectacular part of the world, and I really have no hesitation at all in recommending it. I hope you found this review useful. If you have, please do give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. There's plenty more to come. Additionally, and only if you want to, you can make a donation at buymeacoffee.com/philbertflies. I promise I'll spend it on flight sim add-ons and not on coffee. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you again soon here on Filbert Flies. Take care. Bye bye.